What's up, everyone? This is Pooka bringing you another game from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. In this game, we're going to be using an interesting new deck. I don't quite know how well this is going to work, but I am just kind of trying it out. It's a Stoutland deck, the big Stage 2 dog, which has that ability which shuts off all of your opponent's supporters. They are not allowed to play supporters. We're going to play it with Ghetsis. So the idea here is that we have Stoutland. When it's active, it shuts off supporters. Your opponent can't play them. And then you play Ghetsis to shuffle in their items. And then they're basically just stuck attaching energy all the time. Or playing a stadium, I suppose. So yeah, we'll see how well this works. I don't honestly expect it to work very well, but I could see sometimes where you just catch your opponent with, nothing but supporters. And maybe you can win. The attack, I think it's Wild Tackle, does 30 for 3, or 30 for 3 would be pretty bad. 90 for 3, which is actually perfect for just how much you need to do. So here we're going to go ahead with the Ghetsis, and you can see I get rid of a switch and an energy search with that. So we can go ahead and draw 2 cards, shuffle those 2 cards in. Those weren't too impactful items, but at least we drew a double colorless and put that on the old Lillipup. And then I do have a heavy ball and a rare candy, so next turn I should be able to get Stoutland out and hopefully be able to, start attacking, or at the very least get him active. That's going to be the big part. So my opponent puts down a Sky Arrow Bridge and then just retreats to Emolga. Doesn't seem like a very good start. On the other hand, mine seems pretty darn good, doesn't it? We get the rare candy into Stoutland, and we got a Float Stone, so Keldeo can rush in. This effectively gives all of your Pokemon free retreat. You can rush in with Keldeo, and then retreat for free thanks to the Float Stone. I'm going to play a Chorus for 5 here. Unfortunately, I missed my energy drop, but the important thing is I get to rush in, retreat, and now we have that Sentinel ability. Shuts off all these supporters for my opponent, and now he's just kind of stuck. So the main reason you would play Ghetsis with this is that Pokemon Catcher, or I suppose Escape Rope, could force, and there you can see that Stoutland ability there, and we have Wild Tackle. But with Catcher or Escape Rope, you can force Stoutland out of the active position, and then they can play supporters again. So what you need to do is play the Ghetsis, shuffle in those Pokemon Catcher or whatever items they have, and from there, just doing 90 a turn should get the job done. So we play Ghetsis here just to see if he has anything, and yeah, a Sky Arrow and 3 supporters. So looks like we're looking good. I gotta say, this is a pretty sweet position to be in. Those supporters are just things he cannot play anymore, thanks to that Sentinel ability. Now he can attack with Raikou. I think the biggest hurdle for this deck would be something that can just attack cheaply, like a Mewtwo with a double colorless could really stop Stoutland from really doing much. Because if you ever break the lock, your opponent does get supporters back, and that's pretty annoying. Now, I did get hit by the Thunderfang, paralyzed, but good old Keldeo can rush in, retreat, and that is just the beauty of Floatstone, the beauty of Keldeo. And I'm sure we're going to find this in a lot of decks. Now, I had an interesting hand here. I had a Ghetsis and an N, but I don't want to N him into new stuff. And I don't want to Ghetsis because I know he doesn't have any trainers. So I needed a Skyla for an N, so I basically just went through like 4 supporters there just to get a Juniper. But it's all good. At least we'll draw 7 next turn. I get a Herdier out, and from here, if you can set up 2 Stoutlands, that is kind of the key to this deck. If you can keep a chain of these guys going, then you can win. We see a Super Scoop Up, which could have been kind of devastating, and there's another Juniper. Hello, double full art Juniper. But yeah, Super Scoop Up could have been big there. The thing that's going to be tough about this deck is getting a chain of Stoutlands out, because they are Stage 2 Pokemon, and they do take 3 energy to attack. Now, in order to combat this, I did put in Team Plasma Badge and Chorus Machine to give myself a way to accelerate energy onto Stoutland, so you don't always have to rely on double colorless. I'm not sure if it's quite worth the space, but I do start to just power up that Tornadus EX, the Plasma one, and I'll have plenty of backup attackers. And at this point, I am up 3 prizes. My opponent has no sort of setup whatsoever. We know his hand is 3 supporter and a Sky Arrow still, since he did play that Energy Search last turn. And I gotta think that I'm pretty much going to win this game. That is exactly what it seems like. I have another Stoutland pretty much ready to go at this point. So, I don't know. I have another Juniper, but I have a Dowsing Machine, 2 Rare Candy, and a Super Rod. I don't know if I want to quite discard this stuff. I might just be content to use Wild Tackle, take the knockout. And then if I get Tails, I actually do 20 to myself and knock myself out. So that would not be good, but at least I would be able to promote my other Stoutland. Actually, one of the worst parts about this deck is that self-damage on Wild Tackle. I wish there was some way to avoid that, but unfortunately there is no Eelektrik for Stage 2 Pokemon. Seems kind of backwards, huh? The basics get the protection. The Stage 2 Pokemon, which are more difficult to get into play, have nothing going for them. This is probably why we see the basic EXs do so very well, and the Stage 2 Pokemon cry in the corner. But Stoutland, it is his time to shine right now, takes himself down with the Wild Tackle, but we take down Dynamo as well. And, you know, my opponent just has that Rayquaza EX. I have 2 prizes to go. All I really need to do is Wild Tackle twice more, and I can knock out this Rayquaza EX, and we can be on our way to a victory here with Stoutland. And he Celestial Roars, whiffs big time, and he concedes, since he knows, alright, now he can't do anything. He can't knock out Stoutland next turn, so what's the point of him playing? So, that's going to be it. This deck might have some potential, who knows? We'll see, maybe I'll try some more games with it. But until then, I'm Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys.